What's going on, boys? It's Clements back on the mic, back with another banger of a video, and today I've got the top 3 most criminally underrated loadouts to use in Warzone right now as a Season 5. The majority of these guns are Modern Warfare guns, and I think that's just because I find Modern Warfare guns so underused and so underrated, just because vanguard weapons and even Cold War weapons are so emphasised on. I know that in Season 5 they've actually buffed a few Modern Warfare guns, which is great. But I think that just because there's that many guns in Warzone now, a lot of guns just get very easily forgotten. You know, people forget about them. And so my job in this video is to kind of remind you of these guns and say, you know, these guns actually are worth using still. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys my personal favourite underrated weapons inside of Warzone that still kick ass and take names. People just don't know that they kick ass and take names. So yeah, without further ado, without rambling on too much, let's jump straight in. So first up on today's list, we have the CX-9, a criminally underrated SMG in the world of Warzone. This thing's fire rate is incredible. Not the most agile SMG in the game, I admit. You're not going to be running any marathons with this thing in your pocket, let me tell you. But it's still a powerhouse, and it's going to melt your opponents for as long as you're hitting your shots. So for the barrel, we're running the CX-38S barrel for the added damage range, recoil control, some added bullet velocity, and also most importantly sound suppression, because this barrel does have an integrated suppressor, which is great. It does affect your movement speed, but you'll notice a lot of these attachments do as well, so it can feel sluggish to run around with, and that's why I think a lot of people sleep on this thing. But like I do say, it's still a very capable SMG. Commando foregrip for the added recoil and aiming stability, the 50 round drum for added ammo capacity, which is also important on a gun, especially a gun like this, just because the fire rate is that fast and we don't want to run out of ammo mid gunfight. Tac laser for aim walking steadiness, aiming stability, and some added ADS. The stock we're going to be using is the CXFR, which is essentially the no stock. This gives us movement speed, which is going to combat some of the cons of our previous attachments, and also gives us some more ADS. And we're going to pair the CX-9 with the buffed Growl. This gun got buffed with the Season 5 update. I'm pretty sure it got its damage buff, so it's definitely a viable option and it's definitely worth using now. So once again, we're going to be using the monolithic suppressor for obvious sound suppression and added damage range. The barrel, we're going to be using the Archangel. It definitely has to be always the Archangel barrel, not just because it's the longest and best barrel on this list. It also gives us a very nice iron sight. We're going to be using the Commando foregrip for recoil and aiming stability, the tactical laser for some more stability and steadiness, and some added ADS. And for the ammunition, we are running the 60 round magazine. This setup I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with. Next is the MP7. This SMG hasn't been given much love as of recently. I don't see anyone using it anymore, and I think that's because Modern Warfare guns have been purposely made by the developers kind of obsolete. They've been kind of purposely swept under the carpet and made obsolete by vanguard weapons. But let me tell you, the MP7 is still a great choice to run on your loadouts. This thing is very fast and quick if built correctly. So again, you guessed it, we're going to be running the monolithic suppressor for sound suppression and added damage range, which is important on an SMG in my books at least, this allowing us to engage in slightly further away gunfights. For the barrel, we're going to be using the longest barrel we possibly can, so we're going to be running the FSS Recon barrel to increase this thing's firepower just as much as we can, and we also get added recoil control, the Commando foregrip for some more added recoil control and aiming stability, and the 60 round magazine, because much like the CX-9, this thing chews through bullets like Snickers bars. And then for the stock, we're going to be running the no stock for added movement and ADS speed, so basically added mobility. With the MP7, we're going to be using the classic M4 assault rifle. This gun I've seen more and more people use as of Season 5. I'm not entirely sure why. I think maybe there's been a buff that I'm clearly unaware of. I don't know, but I'm glad to see more people running it in the loadouts. This gun shines and beams in mid-range gunfights the most. Further away you're going to struggle a bit more, but as a sniper support weapon, or for someone who's fairly new to Warzone, this is definitely an easy gun to learn and use. So once again, for the muzzle, we're running the monolithic suppressor for sound suppression and damage range. We're using the stock M6 barrel for the most damage range, the most bullet velocity and recoil control possible. The Commando foregrip for even more recoil control and aiming stability. The 60 round magazine, so we aren't running out of any bullets too fast. And for the optic, I like to run the VLK 3x optic for a much cleaner sight. Definitely my favourite optic to run on Modern Warfare weapons. And finally, we do eventually have a weapon from a universe that isn't Modern Warfare. We have the LC10, a very underrated SMG, at least I think so. This thing has 0 recoil, it barely moves when firing, making this SMG very, very viable. This gun I find myself often winning both close and mid-range gunfights with, just purely because it's so easy to control and I'm often very consistent with hitting my shots, even when enemies are further away. So we are running the agency suppressor, which provides sound suppression, vertical recoil control, bullet velocity, which is great, so our bullets are travelling through the air to our targets at a faster rate, as fast as possible, and some bonus damage range as well. So this suppressor is key. It is very compulsory on all Cold War weapons, to be honest with you. We're running the Task Force barrel for the most mobility possible, with it giving us some strafe speed, added bullet velocity and damage range too. It does affect your recoil, but like I said, this gun really is that easy to control that it's just not worth worrying yourself about. And for the laser, we're running the Tiger Team Spotlight for movement speed and aim walking movement speed, so just added mobility essentially. 55 round magazine, so we have plenty of ammo, and then the Raider stock for sprint to fire time and both aim walking and ADS firing movement speed. And then finally, the final weapon of today's video, we have the Kilo 141, an old but gold hidden gem, an extremely controllable and accurate assault rifle that I personally still find very, very competitive, even with Vanguard guns being so overused today. It's very consistent, but its only downfall really is its damage drop off range. So further away in those really far gunfights, you aren't going to be dealing quite as much damage as you would from slightly closer range, but I still laser people from incredible distances just because this gun is that controllable. So if you haven't used it in a long time or haven't used it at all, I strongly suggest giving it a bash. So the monolithic suppressor, again for staying off the map and added damage range, which is key on an assault rifle. We're in the Singard Arms 19.8 inch Prowler barrel. So this is the longest and strongest barrel on here, and it's also going to give us the most damage range we can get. Commando foregrip for recoil stabilization and aiming stability again. 60 round mags, and again the VLK 3x optic. I also like to run the T-pose reticle on the VLK, as you can see, just because it's cleaner and I like it more than the default. So if you have that unlocked, make sure you're always running the T-pose on the VLK. So yeah, but guys, that's all I've got for you guys today. The top 3 most underrated loadouts inside of Warzone as of Season 5. If you have enjoyed today's video or found it useful, smash the like, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I've been Clements, you've been absolutely amazing. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out and take care.